Hello everyone, welcome back to Black Moon Coven. So today on my channel, I thought we'd focus a little bit on spell crafting. I know we covered spell casting on my channel, and I did a whole series on it, in fact, so if you are new, go check that out, or if you want to learn how to write your own spells, the method behind, incantations and intentions and all that stuff, so go check that out. However, I wanted to focus on spell crafting in a more personal sense. This technique that I'm going to show you guys is a technique that I use and I apply to spell work, rituals, and different things. So, just know that this is my own method. Feel free to use it, go ahead. However, don't preach like it's the only method out there because there is a million and one ways to do everything in witchcraft, and there are different multiple methods. So I encourage you to try out your own, or if you like mine, continue to use mine, that's perfectly fine. So what we're gonna do is craft a very simple spell. I'm gonna show you kind of the technique to go about it. So the first thing that you wanna ask yourself every time you do a spell, ritual, incantation, whatever you are doing is, what do you wanna accomplish? What do you want to accomplish? What do you want it to do? It has to be very clear, either verbally or non-verbally, just it has to be clear so the universe knows what to do, what kind of energies to pull for you. So let's do a simple protection spell because they're really handy and everyone needs a good protection spell. It's a good example too. So what we're going to do, obviously, protection. Now, who do you want it to protect? What do you want it to do? So let's do a home protection spell. That kind of encompasses everything and everyone within. So home protection spells. Now, these you can go a couple of different ways. You can do a verbal incantation, you could do a ward, you could do sigils, you can do jar spells, you can do even puppets if you like, whatever you want to do with the home. You could do an altar dedicated right to protection if that's what you want. There are many ways to go about home protection. You can do charms, and all these different things are coming to mind now. However, let's do a jar spell. I love jar spells, especially for the home, because you could craft a really nice jar and then put it inside your house, and then you'd have to just recharge it every once in a while. So on your ingredient list, you're going to be writing an ingredient list and then some enhancement magic and then of course the incantation. So jar is obviously A, your method, and B, the first thing on your ingredient list. So you're going to decide what you want it to do and then your method of spell casting. So there's different methods, there's different things you can do. So the jar spell is obviously going to be our method and our first ingredient on the list. Next, you're obviously going to need a candle because you need to seal the jar. However, that's just my way to seal it. It's a pretty popular way to seal a jar. You can seal it with glue, with twine. You can seal it with a whole bunch of different things, with fire, a whole bunch of different things. So don't think that, a candle is the only way to do that. You could literally just screw the lid on and, say that it's sealed. That's totally fine as well. So if you are going to use a candle, then you have to decide on the color. What color do you associate with protection? For me, that's black, okay? I use black a lot. Not only are black and white candles super cheap and super easy to come by, but black candles for me are very dominant, are very powerful. They encompass all colors, so I'm just really happy using black candles for majority of my spell work. So a jar, a black candle, that is what our ingredient list consists of right now. So next, I'm a very herbal, nature influenced type of witch. So on your ingredient list, you're gonna wanna decide what goes into your jar. So stick to your strengths. That's very important, especially when you are crafting your own spell. Stick to what you are comfortable with, okay? If you're a crystal witch, do crystals. If you are an herbalist, do herbs. If you're a bone witch, use bones. If you like to make charms, make some charms. There are different ways to go about it, and just play within your strengths. play within what you are comfortable with, because it's going to make the spell a lot more natural and a lot stronger. So what I'm going to do is think of things that reflect protection in my mind from nature. And obviously that's going to be rocks. And an acorn, because acorns are really, really strong symbolism of protection. Next, I like to put herbs in. So I always like to do spell jars with a solid component and a more herbal component. So that's completely up to you. You can put a crystal in a jar and that's going to be your spell jar if that's what you want. Again, completely up to you, and this is your spell. I'm just showing you kind of how to craft a spell, how to kind of go about doing that. So your ingredients would be first. And for the herbs, I'll do thyme for banishment, basil for protection, sage for cleansing, and rosemary, just to kind of tie it all together. If you are stumped ever in an herbal spell or what to put in a spell jar, you can't go wrong with rosemary. It is the clear quartz of the herbal world. You cannot go wrong with rosemary, okay? It replaces all other herbs. The properties of rosemary are so vast, you can use it literally for every single spell that you do. Always keep rosemary on hand. It's a very, very good herb to keep on hand. And I might do lavender for peace. Okay, so now you have all of your ingredients for the jar spell. Now you kind of have to go through the process of, okay, how am I going to put it together? What kind of method am I going to use to kind of put my intention inside the jar? Now, you can just put everything in the jar and seal it shut, and then that's it. You can power it that way by creating the jar and sealing it. However, I like to kind of advance my magic just a little bit. Now, a really easy way to do that is symbolism. You could use sigils or a symbol that reminds you of protection to add into your jar spell to kind of enhance it in a way. So let's talk about sigils for a second. I have sigils that I've already made, so I easily just draw out a protection sigil. I have sigils that I already made and I know, and what I do is I keep them in my book of shadows at the end of the pages because I'm going to be reusing the sigils. You could always recharge the sigils once you have made it, once they have served their purpose. You could keep them on hand and recharge them. Certain witches think you can't do that. That's totally fine, your opinion. I like to think that sigils you can recharge whenever you want. So keep your sigils if that's what you believe. If not, then make another sigil or make something else that kind of reminds you of protection. Again, this is just my personal method, so I like to do ingredient list first, then a sigil or type of symbolism or type of infusion of intention, like an advancement of magic, and then my incantation towards the end. So I have my sigil, and what I'm going to do is I probably will paint it on top of the rock, so it'll go into the actual jar spell. Now, for the incantation, this is the part where a lot of people have trouble. You want it to be straightforward, you want it to be honest, you want it to be simple, short, and sweet. Especially if you're a beginner, try to keep it as simple as possible. You could even just say the words, I want it to protect me, or protect this home, or whatever else when you are crafting and sealing the jar. You can do whatever you please. You could just say the word protect if you want. So that's completely up to you. You don't have to write a whole list, a whole song, type of ritual for a jar spell. You don't have to have any incantation at all if that's what you want. So incantations, short, sweet, and simple. And straightforward. That's very important too. So we're going to do something like protect this home, because that's what you want the jar to do. Protect this home and everyone who dwells within. Because now it's not going to be just a protection spell for the home, in case of fire or emergency or whatever. It's everyone that comes into your home is also going to be protected. Banish all negativity. And that's kind of how we tie in the herb thyme and we can tie it in with the jar spell. So banish all negativity, only let positivity in. So there you go. Very simple, short, sweet, and it even rhymes a little bit. So that's it. We basically wrote a protection spell, very, very simple, a little longer than 10 minutes, but hey, there you go, very simple. So I'm not saying, by doing this video, I'm definitely not saying that you can't use, spells out of a book or off the internet. They're not going to be as effective. I'm saying that it's very crucial to learn how to compose your own spells, especially if you're going to be using hexes or curses or things like that, or if you can't find a certain spell in a book, make your own. It's pretty simple, just to be a straightforward and honest spell. So this is not really an advanced type of spell. However, it's a really well composed spell. It has a bunch of ingredients, it has a method, even has a sigil, and it has an incantation. What more did you want, So if anyone wants this spell, let's just run through it again, just because we made it together. So let's just run through it again. You're going to need a jar, a black candle, a rock, acorn, thyme, basil, sage, rosemary, and lavender. Next, you're going to need a sigil. Now, you can make a sigil for protection very easily. Just use the word protect. However, this is my sigil of protection if you want to use that. If you don't know how to make a sigil, I do have a video on that as well, so go to my sigil making video for that. And the incantation. Protect this home and everyone who dwells within. Banish all negativity, only let positivity in. Done. So there's our little spell, and hopefully you guys all like this video. Hopefully everyone learned how to craft a little spell. Hopefully it made things clearer for some people. I know some people really struggle with spell crafting, and for other witches it comes a lot easier. So I wanted to kind of even the playing field a little bit. So now on to some more exciting little news. My Etsy site is going to be selling used items. Okay, these are my items that I personally have used in my practice that no longer serve me or my purpose. So amongst these items, I'm just going to show them off real quick. I know if you follow me on Witches and Pagans and Minos, you will see the items, on there. But if you don't, well, here they are. So I have a Smith Waite tarot deck, and it's almost completely new. The booklet's in there, all cards are in there. I barely use the deck. I bought it online because I'm a frequent online shopper. But anyways, the deck comes with the box, the guidebook, and the tarot pouch. So I'm offering a couple of tarot decks. Along with that is my Hobbit deck. So it comes in this beautiful handmade pouch. And of course, it comes with the guidebook and all the cards inside of it. So, even has the beginning card, but all the cards are inside. So basically, it's just a used tarot deck. It's in really excellent condition. I just want to make room for other tarot decks because, who needs that many? So that's just something I'm going to be offering on my Etsy site. I also have some used books there, and I'm also going to be selling this obsidian pendulum that's going to be paired up with this pendulum board. So that's sold as a set, tarot cards, and then I have some books back there as well that I'm going to be selling, and it's just going to be a growing thing. Every time I get new books and I read through them, I will put them on there just to share it with you guys. They're going to be in really good condition, so it's not going to be like you're buying garbage, So there you go, just something from me to you. So hopefully everyone liked this video again, and join the coven and subscribe if you haven't done so already. And yeah, thank you for joining me for, crafting a little spell on this beautiful day. Follow me on all my social media, especially Etsy and Witches and Pagans and Minos if you want to reach out. And yeah, until next time, I will see you guys.